Are you ready for progress? Oh, taste and see. There's a word for you and me. For progress.
Serving the uncompromising truth makes us truly free.
For progress. Open your heart, your mind, your soul. He'll make you whole. For progress.
Preaching with power.
It's the relevant leadership strategist.
Good afternoon. Is it that? Yep. Good afternoon, everybody. It is College, COVID, and Christianity. I have my panel of bright, gregarious young ladies and a young man. He's been working, schoolwork, those kind of things. So that's why he's not been able to be on. But I got my ladies hanging strong with me. And we're going to have discussions based upon things that they'd like to talk about, issues, current events, but from their perspective. You know, sometimes, many times, we end up having discussions that only kind of benefit one perspective and one group, and we'll tend to leave out, you know, certain people and their viewpoint, their vantage point, and how they view it and see it. Well, these college kids, man, they are some of our next now part generation. I mean, they're up and coming, and so we want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to speak and to voice their opinion. Bishop Rush, God bless you, sir. Prayerfully, you are doing well. Got the pictures from the church, and I'm so glad that everything kind of worked out for you there. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring them on, and they're going to get an opportunity to introduce or reintroduce themselves. If you've not been watching our show up to this point, again, we're talking about current events and issues from the college perspective. All of the people who are part of the panel are college students. So if you have a college kid, tag them right now or share the video on their page. Tell them they need to get on, because they're going to be able to hear the issues and discussions based upon things that concern them. And ladies and gentlemen, they'll also get an opportunity to ask questions. So it won't just be, you know, us having a conversation back and forth, but we'll also have conversations with you as you post your questions in our comment box. And so this is a interactive, real talk platform. I am the relevant leadership strategist, and we love what it is we do whenever we get an opportunity to share in this regard. We are now probably a month, well, past a month in to this platform, College, COVID, and Christianity. And we use those three terms because, again, those are kind of the buzzwords, if you will, that's happening currently within our world. College kids, of course, and that's going to always be. COVID is now this new issue that's kind of stopped the whole world. Christianity is just our stance, our belief. And these young ladies and young men or men, whenever we get them all linked back in, they have a perspective from the college level, yet from a Christian viewpoint. They're all saved, and I'm certainly glad that and proud to be able to say that they're all saved. And so I'm going to bring them on and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell you their major, and hey, Fred, tell you their major and what they plan to do after college. All right, so they'll get a chance to tell you their name, their major, and what they plan to do after college. All right, let's bring in one of our first guests, Madam Kiana. Hey, girl.
Hey, Bishop.
How you be?
I'm great. I'm well.
Good, good. Give them your name, your major, and what you plan to do after college.
Well, my name is Kiana Edie. I am a senior majoring in middle level education at Claflin University. My concentration is science and social studies. What I plan on doing after graduation, of course, teaching science. I plan on going to grad school to get my master's in literacy and language. Um, and eventually, I want to get into policy work and get my PhD in that. But in the near future, I'm teaching, and then I plan on going to grad school.
Yeah, you're going to be the next superintendent of education.
Yes, yes, yes.
Love it. I love it. I believe it'll happen too. All right. Next on our panel, we have the threesome. It's the Majette threesome. Well, two and one, but since they're all together, threesome. And we are glad to have them, such bright young ladies with wonderful perspectives. We have the Kasha and Shira, right? Kaka Shashara, they know how that goes. Let me bring them up. Hey girls, how you do?
Great.
Good. Good. So tell them your name, your major, and what you plan to do after college. Now you might have to lean in so that the microphone.
Okay. Hey, my name is Majed. My major is health services management, and I want to get my CNA license and become a nurse.
Yep, we heard none of that. So you got the you got
Okay, I'm sorry.
there it is.
Okay, my name is Shanisha Majed.
Perfect.
My major is health services management, and I plan to get my CNA license and become a nurse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Kashara Majette. I am a rising senior at Claflin University. I'm a political science major and mass communications minor. After graduation, I plan to pursue my master's at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Um, also, after that, I plan to pursue my PhD in political science and social justice.
I love it.
Okay. Hey
And you're
guys,
going to be the first female president.
Here.
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So, hey guys, my name is Kanisha Majed. I'm a rising sophomore at North Carolina A&T. Right now, my major is construction management, and I have another major, architectural design. After college, I plan to pursue my master's right now, probably at Clemson University. And yeah.
So we got architects, we have education, we have communication, we have healthcare. Man, listen, I love it. We're covering the whole spectrum with just this platform. So let's jump right in. Last week we started. Well, I asked for you all to go and listen to this young lady. Her name, I believe, was Candace Owens. I think that's her name. And we started kind of talking about our blackness, right? And appreciating our culture. We kind of went down a line of that and appreciating who we are. And are there moments when you had to kind of let your fire die out or at least cover it so that you wouldn't seem so black? And we started going towards the comments that the young lady made. Now, not so much the person and the things she was talking about, but I think there's such another kind of underlying theme that was underneath her pontification that needs to be discussed. But before we get to that, I want to know your perspective on what you heard and why do you think that way? Now, remember, we're real, we're relevant, and but we're also respectful. We're also respectful. So try as best you can to express yourself without yeah. And so, guys, wait, before they start answering, share this video. It's about to be. It was always good, but I believe these young ladies got something to say. We're gonna kind of discuss Candace Owens and her comments that she made related to Brother George. All right, so whoever wants to hop in, hop in.
Okay. Um, before I get into what I into my opinions, I just want to say that the Black voice isn't monolithic, meaning that just because like one person shares a point of view on how they view things doesn't mean that that's the voice for the entire Black community. So with that being said, let's get into the tea. Candace Owens, I heard about her when Trump was first running for 45, excuse me, was running for president. And her viewpoints are very conservative. And I must say that it's very counterproductive to what other African Americans in America, what they believe in as far as like their stance in America, the progression in America, how racism is real, how systemic discrimination is real. And I feel like she serves as a scapegoat for people who don't want to confront the reality of the inequities against African Americans. So going to the question to what you said about like her comments with George Floyd, I don't like how she tried to validate George Floyd's murder. She tried to validate it by saying that, oh, he was a criminal. Oh, he had this in his system. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, that. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he was a human being who was murdered by the police. So for you to sit here and try to validate and play into the stereotypes that are already pinned against Black men, African Americans in America, it's just like, sis, what are you doing? What's the point here? Like you can't, and it plays into how people try to justify the wrongdoings against African Americans. And I don't appreciate that, Candace. I really don't. Wherever you may be, I ain't coming for you, but I'm coming for what your ideologies, you know. But she shouldn't have tried to validate his murder, because at the end of the day, you are an African American. You are a Black woman. You came from Black parents, and that could have been your dad. That could have been your brother if you had one, your niece, your cousin, whoever it may be. So don't try to validate the injustices against African Americans. I'm done.
And that's the tea.
Okay, so I first heard of Candace Owens like actually last when oh, can you hear me?
A little close. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I first heard of Candace Owens like last week on the panel when you told us to actually go and research her. Ooh. So I went and actually looked at the video, her interview with George Floyd, and honestly, like the part that got me, well, okay, all of it got me because she she's very out of pocket. Like honestly, the part that got me was when she said that the Black community was trying to make him a martyr. Like she was upset how they were trying to make him a martyr for like the Black community. No, like sweetheart, not trying to be funny. Like it started with Emmett Till, dang on Trayvon Martin. Like you're sitting here pulling up all his criminal background, but are we just forgetting the point of the fact that yes, okay, people done wrong, but you're excusing the fact that with Trayvon Martin, he didn't have any weapon and he still got gunned down. Like you're just picking one person and marginalizing him as a criminal, and you're trying to make it like every Black person, every African American male. Let me put it like that, because it's like you're just stuck on males, like the and it's like she was trying to make it like African Americans were trying to capsize him because of the simple point of fact that, oh, like I'm trying to, because it's making me mad. Like even while I'm talking about it, I'm trying to hold up. Go ahead, because
I just feel like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I just feel like for like her to try to justify the fact that this was another Black life murdered, because of past instances. It just pissed me off. Like, I'm sorry to say, I probably shouldn't say pissed on the live, but it did. It made me upset. And it's just like, I don't know. I had this thing like where I can't think about what we're going through and not think about God. Like, I don't know. So it's just like, if God killed us every time we sin, you get what I'm saying? And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, and I just thought in that regard, but I just don't like how she tried to justify the fact that, okay, he was this horrible person or he did this crazy stuff, and she never said he deserved to die, but she did like undertone, like say like he deserved to die. And I don't know, it just, the whole situation just kind of made me mad. Like, and for her to say that, and then she tried to justify it, talking about she was talking about white people dying, different stuff like that. And she tried to say, you don't see like white people, she like, you don't see white people pushing up, like basically boosting people who die, especially if they knew that they did something wrong and stuff. Like, what in the,
like, and I'm sorry to like add back in, but that goes like to ask to raise the question, like, are you ashamed of your race? Like, honestly, because no, like, you, come on. And I really feel like somehow coming up along the way where she is now, like, she probably got, you know, how other Black people are like stereotyped, and she probably felt like, you know, like, I don't want to be a part of this. And it's sad because it's like most Black African Americans feel that way. Like, it's like we get stereotyped, and there's some people that's like take it to really hard. They're like, dang, like if that's gonna keep happening, I don't want to be a part of that. So it's like, it's kind of on the same time, like, yes, she's wrong, but it's like, dang, like, you kind of feel sorry for her because it's like, what did you go through to make you think like that? Honestly.
you want to think?
I just feel like she's out of pocket.
Way out.
He died. There, I was saying there's no justification about her, what she said, trying to justify the point of fact how he died. Like, I just, he's just different in the worst way possible.
Yeah, different in the best terms.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you all are, and I know that you're trying to be respectful. I really don't mind you expressing yourself at all. I mean, you can kind of say what's on your heart. You know, without we can express our feelings without being derogatory, as it were, like calling her names, those kind of things. So yeah, I don't mind you really kind of letting it out. Because I think Kiana said it, all of you all kind of hit the theme, but Kiana like just put it out there. And she mentioned that she thought that this young lady was like the scapegoat. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about your thoughts with that. You said that she seemed to be more or less a scapegoat. Tell me your thought process behind that.
So oftentimes, okay, so do you want to know why I said that she was a scapegoat? Like, why I considered her, why I said, okay. I said that because it's a personification of an ideology of let's say racist, or I don't want to just say white people, because not all white people are racist. We just want to say racist. That racists play into where they don't want to really own the true history and own the real experience of what is happening in America. And to get away from that guilt, they try to like be like, oh well, he was this, he was that, to kind of alleviate the pressure of accepting the wrongdoing, even if you didn't do it, even if you weren't a part of history, but even if you're currently doing it, you're like, okay, this is wrong. I need to challenge myself to not participate in inequity, participate in racism or whatever, but instead you decide to be like, I'm not ready for that. So I'm blaming the victim. I'm gonna justify why this is right, why this is happening to you.
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. And
Okay.
I can really like get in depth with that, because in a different sense, I was that person trying to demonize the victim. Like I was that person to make it be like, well, I did what I did because you did this, or I did what I did, that makes it right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was that person before, not in this sense, but it's just like, it makes sense because it's like, all her acting as I feel like she tried to like basically shine the light off of, okay, Black Lives Matter, and this is the reason, to where like maybe Black lives shouldn't matter because he did this. And it's him kind of, it's her attempt of changing the light so that it's like, it's really like a low blow. Like I can't really put into words like what it is exactly. Like she really tried to justify the fact that his murder was basically unimportant because of things that he done in the past. Then she tried to say the thing about, what was she saying when he got out of jail the last time, 5 years, like he got that 5-year sentence. She was like, and the media tried to portray like he was on the uprising, trying to change his life and different stuff like that. Who are you to say he wasn't? And even if he wasn't, what the police did was murder. He shouldn't have had that happen to him. Like, so I don't know about it all.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that I can sense from you guys is the frustration, and maybe even a bit of letdown, just to hear someone speak in that regard. I think that she attempted, just like you all said, to hijack what that moment really meant by trying to shine a light on something different to make it palatable. I do kind of go along with that, because I mean, how can you just sit there and say, all right, we just witnessed a murder on TV. This wasn't a video game. This wasn't, Grand Theft Auto. This wasn't something like you can hit the reset button and the people come back up. This was on live television. We witnessed a murder happen. And that's a cup that's hard to drink from, especially when it's been going on forever. And see, and that, which is another piece, like this is not new. This isn't a new thing. It's not new, especially for us. The only difference is, and I think Will Smith said it, from what I heard, he said it, what's happening now is just being televised. That before you weren't seeing it because there was no social media, and the way social media is right now, that wasn't like it was before. So here recently, social media now has a stronger bite with the world, and we're getting a chance to see what's been happening in dark corners forever. And to have her say that, one of the things that I immediately thought was hate of self. Now, not necessarily her hating her, but hating our culture to such a degree, and being fed the hate of the culture to such a degree that you would use his past or even his recent future, his recent past. I mean, it may not be like years ago. It may have been something he did last week. I don't know. But as all four of you all have said, if he did it last week, it did not justify that execution of him right there on the street. That means that we don't get the same rights as everyone else. We're judged and executed on the street instead of having a chance to sit in a courtroom. And it's like, because your skin is that color, or because you did other things. I saw a video the other day, and it was a light-skinned brother. Well, it was a Caucasian brother, and the police was trying to get him to get down on the ground. He told him to get down. The guy got down and stood back up and started fussing back with the cop. And then he said he backed up from the, kept yelling, get down, get down. The guy would walk towards the cop, started getting down, stood back up. I mean, this went on for almost 2-3 minutes. And I kept thinking, if that was a black person, the minute he would have tried to get back up, he would have been shot 1,000 times, and he would have said his life felt threatened. Now, this boy walked towards the cop after he got up. Now, if you didn't feel threatened there with him doing that, why would you feel threatened with a person of color doing that who may have had a past? Who knows if that boy didn't have a past, right? But that's not going to get brought up. So then it's a level of self-hate that's been fed for years that causes one to begin to just pull out, well, this justifies that. And yes, if he did wrong, lock him up, give him a court date, let him sit before a judge and a jury, and let that process take place. But it's not to just say, okay, well, he deserved to get it because of all the stuff he did. That was hard to wrap my mind around.
Bishop, we live in a time where like racists take that option away from us when they take our lives. So it's like, like, you know how you have the choice to sin and you have the choice not to sin?
Yes.
It's like we don't even have the choice to be like, okay, let me sit in jail and think about what I did. Let me like to try and actually like get better and do better. Like we don't have that choice. They take that choice away from us when they kill us and then try to justify it with the actions that we had. And that's not okay. Like you took that, you snatched it away. Mm-hmm. Like literally. And then not to mention, this man had a whole wife and kids.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it would be, well, it's never okay. But we could almost stomach it if we saw it done across the board.
Exactly.
I've done across the board. The only race that this happens to happens for is us. We're the ones. It just happens to us immediately. All right. So the other thing that you all said that she mentioned was that he's being made like a superhero or a god and all, and a martyr. What's your thoughts there?
Well, go ahead, Kaka.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I think, like you said earlier, in it's not just George Floyd, okay? It's the history of police brutality killings, right? So George Floyd kind of like he kind of like sparked it, like put the match to the fire. But if we want to talk about martyr, I believe like in the video that I saw a video on Instagram where it said like a martyr is someone who like dies willingly, like they sacrifice themselves. So if we're going based off definition, he didn't sacrifice his life for the greater good or whatever that he didn't sacrifice his life. His life was taken. So he's not a martyr, right? He is a victim. And there are countless victims that have passed away, that have been murdered at the hands of policemen. And even outside of the hands of police, like we go back to I think Kaka mentioned it, Emmett Till. That was the KKK down there. Like you have vigilantes, racist vigilantes that are taking that power into their own hands back then and even now. So and you see that with Ahmaud Arbery. So it's just like the people past and present who have passed away they aren't martyrs, they are victims. So let's just clear that up.
I love it.
You just put the icing on the cake, Kiana. I don't even have anything to say. I'm just like,
yeah, that's it.
right.
Not a martyr at all. And here's the deal, though. Even if so, that's still taking the light off of the issue. It's still removing the light and placing it in another place that might be a bit more palatable than the egregious, hard, awful truth that was blatant murder that he was okay with, that he was fine with. And
like he laid there and said, yeah, kill me for my people to he didn't do that.
No. Yeah, no. And so I think that was another attempt to get it off of the deeper sin, and that deeper sin is racism. So let me ask you, ladies, does Black Lives Matter?
And do
Always.
and period. And do and will forever do. Period. I know that was wrong, but still.
So why does Black Lives matter?
The question is, why should that even be a question? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not fussing at you. I'm really not fussing at you because I know you can whoop my butt. You feel me? But that shouldn't even be a question. No one, whites never have to say, why does white lives matter? What? No, like, it's sad that that's even a question. If you don't see that there's a problem with that being a question, you're the problem. Like, Black lives. Nobody wants to be the problem, but you're the problem.
Right. Go ahead. You can talk before.
Makes it more sad is that, yes, I understand that all lives matter, but at the same time, you guys are not being the ones that's hunted right now. It's us. Like, it's always been us. And it's tragic that you guys try to take the light off of a serious situation and put it on, oh, all lives matter. That's just like saying 2 houses is on fire. No, 1 house is on fire, but your house is not on fire. Now, the house that's on fire is important, but you're saying, oh, all houses matter. What? You sound crazy. Like, come on, man. Like, you sound crazy.
And then, sorry, Kaka, I gotta, you gotta argue real quick. Okay, wait a minute. All lives can't matter if one of the lives that's in them all lives don't matter. So I'm sorry. That's
you took the words right out of my mouth, girl. Like, you took the words right.
Because
we can't delve into respectability politics if there isn't respect given to all. Okay,
I digress.
Like, you can't do that.
Everybody want to have Black culture so bad until it's time to actually step up and help the Black culture. Like,
you want the rhythm, but you don't want the blues.
You want to steal our culture so bad. It's time to be Black. You're absent. You disappeared. Okay. So we're out here by ourselves. Like, we're in the front row by ourselves getting killed, and everybody is turning a blind eye. Like, what?
Everybody want to be Black until social justice come into the picture. Everybody want to be Black until equality has to be fought for. Everybody wants to be Black until the question of does Black Lives Matter happen? Because you want my hair, you want my butt, you want my you want my lips, you want my melanin. You go to the beach and tan for 3, 4, 7,000 hours. But when it's an issue of this man was killed, oh, he did so much in the past, so he deserved it.
Right.
And now, to be fair, the person that we're talking about actually has melanin.
So, like, this, I'm so glad you said that, because it was a point that I wanted to make earlier, in reference to, like, internalized racism, right? And, like, how, like you said, after being fed something for so long, you tend to, like, that gets ingrained into your conscious and your subconscious. And so I just finished reading a book called The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, right? Great book. And one of the main characters, Pacola, she wanted blue eyes because, like, everything around her during that time period, it was like the 1930s. everything around her was screaming white beauty standards, European beauty standards or whatever. And so it's just like she hated herself. She hated her skin color. And like she referred to herself as ugly. She was internalizing everything that was being fed to her negatively about being Black. It's like she wanted to change herself physically just to appeal and to change like how things were being done to her. So like in relation to Candace Owens, I feel that she might have internalized the negative things that were being said and was just like, okay, let me switch my rhetoric to support to not fit in with the culture, to be easily digestible for white America.
And
so
honestly,
I just wanted to make that point.
And honestly, Key, it's easier to run from the fight than to actually engage in it. So I feel like that was her way of running, because okay, she knew that with her saying what she said, there would have been a lot more, not even backlash. I can't say backlash. There would have been like a lot of agreements on white people. So she wouldn't have to worry about that gnashing that all the other Black people are receiving. So it's easier. That's one thing. It's easier to run from a fight than to actually stand there and face it. So I actually agree with everything you're saying. Like, bruh, that's true tea for real.
I don't know what Shara said, like when she said basically, well, what you just said, because I read like after she read the interview, Donald Trump was like one of the first ones to comment.
45. 45.
Donald Trump was one of the first ones to like comment on her interview and was like basically agreeing with her. And so like she received, like Candace Owens received a lot of backlash from like, you know, African American celebrities, the community. And it's like she turned a blind eye to that. But as you know, as soon as she got agreements from him, she was fine. And like that goes back to say, like, I agree with Kiana. Like when the conversation first got brought up, that's why I said, like, who really did that to you? Like, that's internal damage that you haven't healed from. Like, honestly.
Well, for the most part, the who is just the way the world is made. One of the statements that I heard is not mine originally, and I can't remember the guy's name who actually said it, so it's not an original statement from me. So I'm quoting the guy. I just can't think of his name. But one of the things that we have to look at is it's not a broken system. Okay, so it wasn't a broken system that taught her that. The system is not broken. The system was built that way. So it's working to its optimal level. It was meant to do that. So it's not a broken system. It's an intentional system. And that intentional system was to strip you of your culture, strip you of your dignity, strip you of your self-worth and self-identity, and make what their thoughts were and their thoughts are a germane point, and you not have an opportunity to live all of what you are and be all of what you are, while they also get an opportunity to live all that they are and to be all that they are. I think one of the things that you all said, which was perfect, I mean, just absolutely perfect, spot on. To say Black Lives Matter is not saying white lives don't. That's not what it's saying. That's not what it's saying at all. It's saying that at this point, okay, so and man, Ka, I think said it like super perfect. She used houses, but let's think about bones. So if I broke the bone in my arm and I go to the doctor and I say to the doctor, my arm is broken, and I need you to look at my arm, take care of my arm. And the doctor looks at me and says, well, all your bones matter. Well, all my bones are not broken. The only bone that's broken is the one in my arm. And so if I say my forearm bone matters, it's because my forearm bone is broken, not the rest of my bones. The rest of my bones are okay. My forearm bone is the one that's broken. And so the reason why I'm yelling forearm bones matter is because it's the one that's broken. And when we begin to just, I mean, it's ugly, it's hard, it's a bitter cup, but you got to drink it, because you got to say, yeah, we broke something in the Black community intentionally. That there's something that was intentionally broken in the Black community. So because that community is broken, the Black community matters. Black lives matter because that's what's broken. Every other bone is intact. Now, all the other bones may have a bruise on them. They may have been hit, but not broken. You see? Well, there's another group that I could say is broken. But for this particular topic, we're talking about the Black Lives Matter bone. And so, are you going to continue to make it about all the bones that are already intact? Or will you finally give the attention to the bone that's broken, and that's the bone called the Black life? That's
and Bishop, if they didn't understand that freshly painted picture you just painted, let me give it to you again. Okay, let's say we're both me and you are in a restaurant, right? Let's say I just gashed my arm open on the table. Now, let me mind you, the bleeding isn't bad, but let's say God forbid, you have a heart attack. The doctor is going to need to see you before me because your injury is more urgent.
That's even down to when a woman gives birth.
Exactly. Your injury is more urgent. My cut, it can wait. My cut can wait because my bleeding, I'm not losing blood. I'm not gasping for air. You, on the other hand, your heart just stopped. The thing that keeps you going, period, like that just stopped. So the doctor needs to see you first. Me being the intelligent human being that I am will understand, okay, Shara, apply pressure until the doctor can come see you. Not saying that my cut doesn't need like medical assistance. It just means that yours is more urgent than mine.
That's perfect. I mean, that's absolutely perfect. That's another great illustration. And you know, it's I'm sitting here listening to you all, and even as I was talking, I was thinking, it's disheartening that we have to come up with all of these different analogies to say that we're important. I mean, it's like, really, do we have to say all of that? When many will have a heart for a dog that gets killed, and you never have to come up with a scenario about why we need to go protect the whales. We're not coming up with scenarios about, you know, why we need to protect, you know, dogs and cats and animals. If you hurt the animal, then, you know, everybody understands that's so wrong and they need to get locked up forever because it's an animal. So there are no scenarios, there are no juxtapositions, there's no allegories that's needed in order to understand that we shouldn't do that to dogs. But when it comes to the Black community, we got to figure out a way to make it palatable, or at least, I don't know, make a link or a connection with the fact that, yeah, we're important too. Like we're just as important, and we have the right, if not more, than the dog that the whole world rallies towards to end somebody's career. But I won't go there right now. To end someone's career of color because a dog fought. But you let other people go home who ended somebody's life. Yeah. See, so that's the heart attack versus the gash on your arm. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, there's such passion in this, y'all. And you all, as you talk about it, I see the pain in it. It's not so much anger as it is pain and the anger, because it's like, enough of this. And it's okay for us to say that it's enough of it. You know, there's some other races who may look and think, all right, well, you know, why y'all got to be so angry, and why you got to keep saying the way you're saying it, why you got to call us white, or why? It's because we're at the point now where it's like enough is enough, and it's all right if we say we're tired and we're hurting and we need to be heard, period, point blank. You know, they were also kind of highlighting our, you know, the rioting thing, and you know, they're burning down buildings. I'm just gonna toss it out there, but I'm gonna leave it after I toss it. We'll go to another topic. But what they've not been honest with is we weren't the first ones burning buildings down. That they were the first ones burning buildings down and wrote it out of history, so that we wouldn't be able to know unless you dig deep enough to find that they were the first building burners, not us. And so it was learned behavior, juxtaposed to us just arbitrary, you know, just all of a sudden coming up with, hey, let's burn a building. No. that came from somewhere else.
I just think it's interesting how we're like our males are a threat any other day, but when they 360 pounds, 6'7" on a football field, oh, I love them.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, it's real, and the pain is real. And I think that, again, I've said it already, but it's worth saying again. Everyone has to, well, we've already drunk the cup, but everyone else is going to have to be able and willing to sit and drink that cup. It's bitter. It's a bitter cup. It's a hard cup. You have to drink it. And so when you know, listening to you all, if they're listening, you know, it may be hard for them to hear this. They may, you know, you may feel some kind of way. You may think, well, they hate. It's not that we hate anybody. That's not. We definitely don't hate anybody. That's not the case. It's the pain and the injustice and the racism that you have to drink. You got to sit and feel it. You got to sit and take it without saying, well, y'all just angry black people. No.
Right.
Drink the cup, and you'll understand.
And the riots, and I'm sorry, Bishop, and we can move on after this. But I'm saying in the riots, it's like, it's like I don't always condone it, but I understand it. And it's just like I feel like the riots are a way to force feed you. You don't want to see it, so this is us force feeding. Just like you have to force feed a baby different things. Like if they don't, you know what I'm saying? The medicine, babies taking medicine. Like babies don't like medicine. My mama had to hold me down a couple of times to put medicine in my mouth. So I just feel like that, like us acting out in the riots and different things like that, that's a way to force feed you and say, hey, wake up. Like this is a bed that you created, lie in it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's all I had to say.
Yeah, Martin Luther King said, and I think I've said it on this broadcast before, but it's worth saying again. But Martin Luther King said that the language of the unheard is riots. And so when they don't feel heard, they riot to be heard. Not justifying riots, but I do understand it. Not condoning it, but I do understand it. And if we don't let our people know, if they don't let our people know that we understand you, then I think those riots will continue. If we just keep saying the effect and not deal with the cause, we never get anywhere. We're putting the light on the effect, not the cause. The effect is the riots, but that's not the cause. We got to deal with the cause to stop the effect. You cannot stop the effect without first dealing with the cause. Drink the cup. You gotta drink the cup, and then those things will change. All right, so we actually had a couple of other things to talk about. We ran out of time. I didn't know that you all were going. I know y'all would be so passionate about that first comment. Let me go ahead and say that anything that we've said was certainly not to destroy the young lady. But if you're unable to disagree with comments without feeling like you're personally being attacked, then you've not really matured in your mindset and your thinking. There's a level of sparring that should be able to happen for us all to grow as we begin to communicate. You know, that's just all about growing and sharpening one another. And so yeah, we're not against her personally as much as we're trying to understand those ideas and how they're so in our estimation, antithetical to the movement of giving the Black community the ability to sit at the table finally. They let us in the house, they still haven't let us at the table. And so we need to be able to get at the table to make those discussions. All right, so I'm going to give you guys, like we always do, a minute to kind of minister to your generation. It could be about what we've spoken about thus far on this broadcast or past broadcasts, or it could be something that just kind of laid in your heart while we were talking that you'd like for someone who looks like you, sounds like you, and maybe don't even necessarily look like you as it relates to color, but just looks like you as it relates to cultural viewpoints, stance, and those kind of things. Before you do that, let me again say, and I think Kiana said it, we're not saying that all Caucasians are racist, because they're not. I have friends who I know they're not racist. I mean, I know that. So this is not putting everybody in the same bucket, just like we don't want you to put us in the same bucket. All Black people are, because there's not. Every section has its own issue of people who do things that we're like, no, that's not us. That's not how we feel. That's not how we see it. That's just real. So outside of that, you know, when we make statements, and I know we say Caucasian and white, we are not saying it's everybody, because it is not. It is not everybody. But it is those to whom have done it, and it's those to whom are still silent, letting it happen. Now, if they're vocal, we're not talking about you. But if you're silent, we're talking about you. If you did it, we're talking about you. I want to be clear with that. I want to be very, very clear. If you are of a different race and you are doing these things, we're talking about you. If you have a different race and you're silent, not saying anything, we're talking about you. But if you're vocal and you're speaking up and speaking right, we're not talking about you. Thank you for seeing it and seeing us and standing for us. So I'm going to give these young ladies a chance to kind of give some closing thoughts, and then we'll go from there. I again appreciate all of you. I appreciate your fire. I appreciate your standpoint, and your viewpoint and how you think through certain issues. Our world is in good hands with you guys kind of being those ones that are stepping in to move it forward. Stay like that. Keep your ear to the grind. Keep your ear to God's mouth, as well as your hands to the grind, so that you can begin to move this whole movement forward. And the movement is kingdom of God, right? It's just the kingdom of God. Or at least what they attempted to say in the Constitution, all men created equal. But I digress with that one too. So I'll give you all a chance to speak. Who's gonna go first? Okay.
Okay, hey y'all. Piggybacking off of what Bishop was saying, yes, to be silent is to be complicit, and use your voice, even if it shakes. While you're speaking, use your voice. Do not be silent. Do not be silent for anybody, especially if you're talking in terms of making our community better, going against racism, different things like that. Use your voice. Don't ever be silenced by fear. And if we want to go to the Bible, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, but silence. So use your voice. That is my ending thought.
So my ending thought is you're not too young to make a change. Period. Like, I know a lot of us see that a lot of older people, go out and do their, maneuvers and stuff to try to make a change. But just know that any thoughts and any ideas that you have, any change is welcome because, guys, sadly, we are in a war. Like, and it's sad to have to say that in 2020. Like, come on. And honestly, we're the new generation. Like, it has to stop with us. Has to, because we've been silent for so long. Like, so we got to come together and do the thing. Honestly. The only thing I want to say is keep going. Like, it's like on social media now, like it's kind of like dying down, but it's only been a week, like a full week of trying to get the movement to move. And just keep, like I said, keep going. Don't be silent. Um, just I don't know. Keep going. That's all. That's all I need to say.
Hey y'all. Shasha created a segue into what I was gonna say. Keep going. Black Lives Matter is not a trend. It is not a trend. It's not just something that you post for a day, a week, a month, and then let it subside. We have to keep going. If you're even if it's sharing a post, organizing, going out protesting, whatever the case may be, just keep going. And I challenge everyone to like push yourself to take that next level in this fight to equity. Yeah, keep going.
All right, so there you have it. These young ladies are brilliant, bright, and they will be some of our next generation Kingdom of God leaders. Elder Patterson, I don't know if it's Elder or Pastor, but Elder Patterson said it so wonderfully that this platform kind of gives you all and others a chance to have a voice, to sharpen that voice, and to be able to read between lines, and not just take what is said face value without doing some digging and research yourself. And you guys do that very, very well, and I appreciate that. That's also, what should happen when we talk scripture, but that's something else we'll talk about a little later. Next week, we're going to discuss music. We didn't get to that today, so we're going to discuss music, and we're also going to talk about honor. So we're going to deal with music, and we're going to talk about honor. I think both of those are going to be great topics. Thank you for your passion, and thank you for showing the world your passion, and being okay showing it. Always know that I got your back. I mean, I stand with you and I have your back. And so if you want to scream, I got it. I mean, I'll help you. We'll do our best to shape it and push it in a direction that you all can be, that can be beneficial. Remember, anger isn't wrong. Anger in and of itself is not wrong. It's what you do with anger. So the Bible says, be angry and sin not. So then anger can be used for productivity and not destruction. When it's used for destruction, that's the sin. That's the sin. When it's used to produce, then that's the energy or the benefit of that anger. So I want you to take all that anger and produce all that anger and do something productive to build and not to destroy. That's why it's there, and that's why you feel it. So don't be mad. Don't hide it. Don't try to sweep to the side, embrace it, and then funnel it to something productive, some march, some way of getting a bill passed that gives us equality, some book, some seminar, build some building, take care of some person's health, become the next president, deal with educational reform so that we can write back in history everything and not extrapolate from it pearls that show us as the kings and queens that we are, while painting another culture in a light that's not quite right. So showing the evils of every, not just one particular place. Use that energy for that, because that's why God called you to do it and called you to such a time as this. You were born in this generation, the age you are, for this moment. Now occupy. Lord, what am I supposed to do? Occupy and keep pushing forward. All right. Next Tuesday, COVID, college, and Christianity at 12 p.m. Every Tuesday at 12. We come back before you for college, COVID, and Christianity. There's the flyer. Go ahead and screenshot it so you'll know Tuesdays at 12 that we'll be here, and we want you to be with us as we do it. Tomorrow, I got these high schoolers. Those high schools are something. They're going to be with us on tomorrow at 12 noon. So if you have a high school kid, you want them linked in with us on tomorrow at 12 noon. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Bible study. I'm finishing the lesson, Got Faith. Well, I won't finish it. I'll finish the part of what we were teaching from Sunday, Got Faith. It's been a great lesson. Make sure that you do it. Lastly, I need you to go ahead and register for our virtual unity gathering for KFM. Hear what I tell you. You're going to be blessed by that. At 10 to 12, developmental sessions are going to be taught: pastoral development, marketplace ministry development, family development, and secondary leadership development. Now, you have to enroll in order to get the links for those classes. So click that link or scan that bar, screenshot it so you can scan it, however you want to do it, so that you can be a part of those developmental sessions. Then at 6 p.m., there's a time change. 6 p.m., not 12, 6 p.m., Pastor Apostle Karen Johnson will be preaching, and all of this takes place on the KFM platform. All right, having said that, we're going to bid you farewell until next Tuesday with these college babies. We shall see you then. God bless.